everybody, welcome back to Body Haven Soaps. My name is Darlene. I am the owner and creator of Body Haven Soaps, and the whole goal of this channel is to help fellow creators create. In today's video, we are going to go over making the Rice Hydration Harmony Conditioner Bar. The last video I did was the Rice Hydration Harmony Shampoo Bar. Now I do a couple different scents with this and colors just so that my customers have options. So the last one I did was a pink color, a different fragrance than what this is. This is the conditioner bar to match my Rice Hydration for blondes. So it's a little bit different color and fragrance, but the exact same recipe that I use for the two Rice Hydration Harmony scents and colors that I carry. Okay, so in saying that, let's get into it. Alright, so everything is sanitized and clean as always. We're going to put our gloves on. I have everything weighed out as I usually do for you guys. I think it's a waste of time to watch me measure things because I have lots to talk about and the videos just get too long. So everything has been weighed out previously. So we'll start off with our heated phase. Okay, and I'm just going to use this container for our heated phase. Just move some of this stuff out of the way. Okay, so for our heated phase, the very first thing that we have is going to be our BTMS 50. Okay, BTMS 50 is very well known for its conditioning properties. It's used in a lot of hair products. It is my go-to. I do have some conditioner bars where I have a blend of BTMS 50 and a blend of BTMS 25, but that is a completely different formulation. You cannot substitute your BTMS 50 for BTMS 25. So if you do not have BTMS 50, you would have to reformulate this recipe. I get that question all the time, but they're not substitutable, okay? So we have 180 grams of the BTMS 50 we are gonna put in here, okay? And this has a really good rinse off property, and it really brings a lot of silk and shine to the hair is what I find. We also have our cetyl alcohol. Now cetyl alcohol, it's got a really good rinse off effect, and it really helps with thickening this conditioner bar, and it helps with conditioning properties as well. So we've got 180 grams of the cetyl alcohol. Okay, and that is what we need to melt down. This is our base of BTMS 50 and cetyl alcohol. Now, to add some moisture and some nutrients to this, we are going to add shea butter. And you could substitute for any butter, mango butter, hemp seed butter, but I like using shea in a lot of my hair products, but I do have some where I've used other butters, horsetail butter, things like that. Those are absolutely something you could substitute in here. But we have 90 grams of shea butter that we're going to add to this one to be melted down. Okay, and then hemp seed oil. So we've got 90 grams of hemp seed oil. I do have refined hemp seed oil here. Now the reason that I'm using refined is because that is what I have on hand, and but you can absolutely use the unrefined. That's completely up to you. But I really like hemp seed oil in my hair products. It really helps with the dry scalp, things like that. If you have a scalp that's itchy, things like that, this tends to help. I do have very dry skin, so I do tend to get itchy skin, including my scalp, and I love what the hemp seed oil brings to this. And I have 90 grams of the refined hemp seed. Like I said, you could absolutely use the unrefined. That would be fine. Okay, so now we have all of our heated phase in here. This could go into a double boiler and melt down, or you could do it in your microwave. Just watch that you don't get it too hot. There's one thing that you'll hear me always say when we start using butters and things like that. If we get them to too high of a temperature, what happens is it starts to break down the good properties that we're trying to bring to the product. So I'm going to set this off into my double boiler, and then we'll get the cool down ingredients. Okay, so our secondary phase, that's off in the double boiler. We're going to slowly melt that down, stirring it occasionally, and bring it up until everything's melted, but not to such a hot temperature that it takes forever to cool back down, because then I know that we've broken down some of the properties that we're bringing to that product. Okay, still do add a little bit of water to this. It really helps with dispersing the DL panthenol and the rice starch and stuff like that. So I have 21 grams of distilled water in here. Okay, and into that I am going to put my DL panthenol and work on breaking that down and making sure it's dissolved so it spreads all the way through the product. As you can see, DL panthenol tends to lump up and things like that. It breaks apart pretty easy, right? But however, you don't want lumps of this. So we're going to put this in here, and for the DL panthenol, I have put in 9 grams, okay? 9 grams of DL panthenol, and I'm just going to get this all mixed down. Now it takes a little bit, but with the water it really does dissolve quicker than if you were in a anhydrous mixture, so that's why I like to get this done right in the water. And as you can see, there's quite a few lumps and stuff in there, so you got to stir this until it's well blended in there and everything is down. So just keep stirring. You'll start to see it starts to turn into a slurry, but just keep stirring that in. Okay, we want it to become clear. Okay, so that takes a while to get that all mixed in there until it's dissolved, but we got lots of time while the water bath melts down the other ingredients. Okay, so now that I have that all mixed in there, the other ingredient we're going to add in there is the Propondol 1-3. It really helps bring moisture to the hair. It just really enhances the absorption of the other minerals and vitamins and stuff from the shea butter, and we're going to put some pumpkin seed oil in here. It just helps bring that and help that absorb into the hair follicle. So that's why I've got that in here. And for the Propondol, I have 6 grams. And then we already have our DL panthenol. We're going to put our rice starch in. So this is kind of the magic ingredient for these shampoo and conditioner bars. Now, I'm sure you guys have heard lots about rice shampoos and rice rinses and things like that. Rice really does help with strengthening the hair. I find it helps. I have less frizzy hair since I started making these, and I use the rice shampoo and conditioner all the time. It is my go-to one for my type of hair, but make sure you're using rice starch, not rice flour. Rice flour will leave a residue in the hair, where rice starch rinses off really good. So make sure you're using the rice starch. I got mine from Soap and More out of Calgary. So I'm not sure if you guys can see that, but it's rice starch powder microized. Okay, so that is where I got mine from, but just make sure you're using the rice starch, not the rice powder, flour, or any of those other ones. Okay, so this brings a lot to the hair. There's a lot of vitamins and minerals in this, and it really does strengthen the hair, and as I say, it really helps my hair with less fuzz. And we're going to put that right into here, and we are going to dissolve it into this liquid that we got going on. And you're just going to stir that in. I like to do it this way because then I get no lumps or anything, and I have this completely disperse through the whole recipe rather than stir it in and end up with lumps. So it's kind of, and it will go lumpy, but it's just like a starch. So as you can see, it mixes in there really well. Okay, so now we have that all dissolved in there. The other thing that we are going to add to this, okay, is going to be our pumpkin seed oil. Now for the pumpkin seed oil, we are using 0.6 grams. And pumpkin seed oil, I love putting this in my hair products. I find that the pumpkin seed oil brings a lot to the hair. I really, really like it in some of my hair products. You know, there's a lot of nutrients in it, and there's a soothing effect to pumpkin seed. I have hair oil that I make, which I should probably make a video on that one of these days for you guys, that has pumpkin seed oil. It's for the scalp, a scalp oil, and I absolutely adore it. And there's a big difference between when I was making it without pumpkin seed oil and when I was making it with pumpkin seed oil, just through testing on my own scalp and a couple of other people that I have that test my products for me. So I tend to really like using the pumpkin seed oil. In my products, but I'm only just using 0.6 grams in this. It is a rinse off, and I feel that that's all I need in this one. Okay, so 0.6 grams of the pumpkin seed oil, and we'll just stir that in. It'll be a little bit separating until we get it mixed into that other bit. You'll see oil float to the top. That's okay. Don't panic about that. And then the other two things we need to add into this secondary phase is going to be our fragrance and our preservative. So I am making my blonde rice conditioner bar, and I'm using lavender, spring, and apricot fragrance that I get from Windy Point Soap. I really like this fragrance, and this is the one that I use in this particular recipe. So I am putting in 0.6 grams of the fragrance oil. You can use different fragrance oils, whatever you like. However, just make sure you're reading manufacturer's suggested usage rate and you're not exceeding that usage rate. Okay? And then we're also going to put our preservative in here. And I am using Optifin Plus. We still have to put a preservative, even though this is solid. We did add water to this, plus it's going to be used in the shower, the bath, so water is going to be introduced to it, so we do need to preserve this, and we are using 0.6 grams of the Optifin Plus. If you would like to use a different preservative, you can go ahead and use a different preservative. Just once again, make sure that you're sticking within the manufacturer's guidelines to the usage rate, okay? Make sure that that preservative works with the pH, with everything. So there's a lot to consider when you're changing up preservatives, but you can use a different preservative in here. Just make sure that you're following all the manufacturer's guidelines, okay? All right, so that is our secondary phase. One is completely melted. I'll bring you back and we'll put these all together and I'll show you how I go about pouring these. So we can see that I have this pretty much melted down. I'm going to give it a good stir, and I'm just going to stir until it's melted completely so that I don't get this too hot. There's still chunks of shea butter and stuff that need to melt, but it melted that quick. So we are at 179 right now. So I'm just gonna stir while the rest of this little chunks of shea butter and stuff melt down. Remember, in our secondary phase, we did put in our preservative. So we do have to wait till this comes down to 122 Fahrenheit or less. And I'm just going to continue stirring this until I reach that temperature. Okay guys, it's cooled down. You can see it's kind of that white opaque. I'm just starting to mix the color in. That's the only thing I've done. I shut the camera off because it was taking a while to cool down. And then I started mixing the color. I forgot the video wasn't running, so I was talking to myself there for a little. But I'm going to get this color stirred in here and break that all up. Now, if by chance it gets too cool, I can simply set this back into a water bath, warm it back up a little bit. Don't try and rush it and have lumpy bars. You can see this is cooling down quite fast now. I'm just going to stir till this color is all mixed in. So while I finish stirring this color in, I'm going to get my secondary phase mixed in here. Now when I pour the secondary phase, you're going to see it makes a lump in there and you're going to have to stir that in. It takes a little bit to get it in there. But we want the color, because we're not using water soluble color, if this is too hot when we pour it into the mold, it will all sink to one side of your conditioner bar. So you want to make sure that you have this at a cool enough temperature that it's going to suspend your color in there. So you can see how that made some lumps in there. Just keep stirring until it all dissolves. This is still warm enough to melt that down because it is just light oils. So we're just going to keep stirring. And like I said, if it doesn't quite mix in, I'm just going to put this back in the double boiler for a second, and that's okay. All right, so don't worry and try and rush and get lumps all through here. Just slightly warm it up again, which is what I'm going to do, and then I'll be right back. Now, another trick I do to prevent my micas from settling to the bottom of my conditioner bars, if you use a water soluble, which absolutely you can, I just wouldn't go super dark with it. Most of my recipes I do use water soluble. In these rice hydration I don't, but just simply a few little tricks to prevent that from happening so that all the mica doesn't settle to the bottom. You got that layer of mica down there and a very fade color at the top. Is I actually have my mold in the freezer, so my mold is ice cold. So when I pour this, it drops the temperature quick and it starts to solidify and it holds that mica. It gets thick enough that the mica will be suspended throughout my bar. So I'm just going to grab my mold out of my freezer. So the mold is ice cold out of my freezer. It's been in there for about half an hour. So when I pour, it's going to drop the temperature quick and it's going to keep all of that mica suspended. This little bit that's solidified in your bowl, just dunk it into the center to finish filling those, and it will sink and solidify in the middle and you won't even know that you've done it. And it leaves no waste. There you go. Now I'm going to move this into the freezer for about 15-20 minutes, and then I will bring you back and I will show you these unmolded. Okay guys, these have been in the freezer for a while. They're still, when I feel the bottom, they're still a little warm, but they're hard enough to pull out. And all we're going to do, I'm going to get a piece of parchment paper. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop these out onto the tray. Now we did put a little bit of water in here just to help with the dissolving of the ingredients and stuff. So you can see these pop out very easily. And I'm just going to sit them onto here. And I am going to leave these in my drying space for about 3 days, just to make sure that I get the moisture out of there before I package them. And then I'll kind of clean them up, level them off. And that is our conditioner bars. Okay, so I mean, you can feel it on there already, but as soon as these dry, then when you moisten them and you rub them in your hands, you'll get that lotion like on your skin, if you've ever used conditioner bars before. But that is how I make my Rice Hydration Harmony conditioner bars. As I said, I do a couple different kinds, but that's the gist of it. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed and have a great day.